Do I look right?
You look great.
Select Ed for Selectman.
I just want to say that I've known Ed since the day I moved to Southbury, and he's the smartest man I know. So if you want a great First Selectman for Southbury, select Ed in 2011.
Select Ed, Southbury. A good, magnificent candidate.
I'm looking at a great hat. It says Select Ed 2011. Do it.
Select Ed in November.
I select Ed.
Select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed in November.
Select Ed!
Select Ed in November.
Select Ed for Southbury.
Ed Edelson has the background and governmental experience to be a fine first selectman. Select Ed.
Select Ed.
I'm going to vote for Ed for First Selectman in Southbury in November.
I'm voting for Ed Edelson, and I hope he will too. He's been great, particularly because I live at the village, and he's very concerned about things that are important to us as well. So I hope you get out and vote for him.
I'll be voting for Ed in November.
Select Ed in November for the greatest First Selectman we've had in ages.
Select Ed. He'll make the greatest guy as First Selectman.
I'm Dan Roberti, and I'm here to say select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed in 2011. He won't steer you wrong.
Select Ed Edelson for First Selectman of Southbury.
Select Ed in November.
Select Ed in November.
Select Ed in 2011.
I'm here because I will be selecting Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed in November for our First Selectman. Select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed for First Selectman of Southbury.
2011, Select Ed.
For the good of the town, select Ed in November.
Select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed for Southbury. You couldn't do better.
Select Ed for 2011 Southbury.
Select Ed in November.
Okay, select Ed for First Selectman in 2011.
Say Select Ed to lead all in Southbury. He'd be the greatest.
All right, we need Ed in Southbury. Please select him. Vote.
Select Ed for Southbury.
Select Ed or Select Ed.
Hi everybody, Select Ed for 2011.
Select Ed for Southbury. He's the best.
Hi everybody, singer-songwriter Willie Nininger from Southbury. Vote for Ed. You'll be sorry if you don't.